Producer John,
Yes.
do you have a newsroom.com?
Come on. What do you got?
And it better not
I'm
be
going to make the George Washington version.
Okay, thank you.
147
132 words.
132 words.
Or less. I can name that.
Most of them aren't even being used anymore
No.
in our vocabulary.
Right.
Today's subject goes back to the 1960s, the Boston Strangler.
Oh, yeah?
It was a series of murders where 13 women between 1962 and 64 were killed. They were strangled, obviously. Typically older women whose deaths were marked by similar characteristics, including they were all sexually assaulted and they were all left in various states of undress. There was a burglary where a guy who was posing as a detective talked his way into this lady's house, and he sexually assaulted her, but he left before he didn't kill her. He just he said sorry, he left, he ran out. The gal gave a description to the police. The police ended up locking up this man named Albert DeSalvo. So they bring in DeSalvo, and this kind of, this event kind of mirrored the other murders, but it, obviously didn't kill her. So they charge him with this sexual assault, and he ends up confessing to another inmate when he's locked up that he's the Boston Strangler. The other inmate's attorney was F. Lee Bailey, famous,
O.J. Simpson?
lawyer. Yeah, O.J. Simpson. So Bailey takes DeSalvo's case too. Well, Bailey doesn't really think that DeSalvo did the murders, but he wants to get him a plea of insanity, innocent by insanity. So he brings all this in, his confessions to Bailey of doing these other murders. Well, the judge doesn't have it. It's not brought in, and DeSalvo ends up getting convicted of the assault on this woman who fingered him. So, but people.
Let's rephrase that whole thing. I mean that.
Can you guys be adults? on this?
I mean,
Did she play pickleball?
I mean, is there any way you could just rephrase that? Let's just go back.
The person who identified him as the assailant.
For heaven's sake, Producer
You guys
John.
are goofballs. So anyway,
I'm 12.
Kindergarten.
Let's get back. So she fingered him.
yes,
All right, go
not
on.
the other way around.
Right.
So, so anyway, but people tend to think that he's the Boston Strangler because he confessed to it. So he gets convicted. He goes to they do send him to a state hospital, and he breaks out, and he actually takes on the identity of a naval petty officer, and there's this manhunt looking for him, but he voluntarily turns himself in, and they put him in a maximum security prison where, a couple years later, he ends up getting murdered by a fellow inmate, and he's dead. So, but the interesting thing is that nobody's ever been actually fingered as the
Boston
Boston
Strangler.
Strangler, or
Right.
I just wanted to go with the whole finger thing.
So he could. So he actually could have been.
He could have been.
So the Boston Strangler and the Zodiac are basically unsolved.
Yeah, and there was a couple cases where they had DNA. Not that DNA was the thing back then, but subsequently they had some DNA, and he was not connected to that crime through the DNA that they did have, and a lot of the criminologists think that there was multiple
Boston
Stranglers, and but it was pretty.
Not the Zodiac. They kind of know.
Well, they kind of knew, but they never actually solved it. They're still doing some high tech DNA.
Zodiac. They're pretty confident, about who that person was, but Boston Strangler might still be out there somewhere.
I doubt it.